Welcome back. We got another episode of Let 'em Ride for you. We got a nice 4-game slate for the WNBA on Sunday, July 7th. We're going to break down and analyze each of those games and talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. And then any plays that I put in for those games, I will have listed down below in the pinned comment later on. So don't forget to check back in. That way you don't miss out on any of those. And then to recap our picks from Saturday, man, it's been a rough week in the WNBA. It's been a cold week, right? Look, we dropped our one pick yesterday. I'm trying to be conservative. So many upsets this week, so many last-second injuries. The WNBA has kind of rivaled the NBA in that aspect with these injuries coming out last minute. With that said, we took the liberty. Team total over 90.5, and this does not cash. They land at 78 after, in their previous 3 meetings against Indiana and that horrible defense, they dropped 104, 102, and 91. And then they can't even crack 80 yesterday in yesterday's game. So, it's been a confusing week in the WNBA. Teams that should be kicking another team's ass is getting their ass kicked by that team. And so on and so forth. Just a lot of uncertainties, unknowns, and a lot of parity has been shown this week. So we look to bounce back, always looking to improve. We are up still 4.49 units on the year. We are at a 27 and 22 overall record. So not too hateful, but like I said, we are definitely looking to improve. And guys, I do want to mention, first and foremost, with this week, with as cold as this week has been, I've had 2 0-3 nights this week, I think. There was a 2-1 mix in there and a 2-0 mixed in there. But with that said, we are 4-8 on the week. A rough week, down 4 units on the week. Not a good look, not what I like at all. Well, with that said, first and foremost, when I'm making these videos, my intentions is to provide you guys with as much insight and with as much knowledge on each of these games as possible. Obviously, I want to win the picks that I put in. These picks that I'm putting in and posting for you guys, I am playing myself. So if you're losing money on them, I'm losing money on them as well. And that's not ideal for any of us, obviously. But at the end of the day, my end goal is, like I said, to provide you with as much analysis and information that I have found on these games after scouring through multiple sites, looking at numbers, analyzing data, and I've tried to combine or condense that down into these, 5 to 10 minute videos for you so you don't have to do all that extra legwork. That is my end goal here. And then to provide a little bit of entertainment in the process. I am putting on a show, making a video. These are my first 2 goals. And then if I hit my picks at the end of the day, that is a great bonus. But like I said, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We want to make some money. So I won't waste any more time. Just wanted to get that out there. And let's dive into these picks. And let's try to make some damn money, man. Let's bounce back. Let's get some wins under our belt. All right, for our first game, we have the Atlanta Dream taking on the Connecticut Sun. And the Sun are laying 11. We have the over-under sitting at 152.5. Now, looking at this one situationally, the Sun have the rest advantage. And they are back home for the first game of a 3-game homestand after playing 7 of their last 9 on the road. They fell into a rut in late June, losing 3 of 4, but with back-to-back wins on the road over the Mercury and the Lynx, the Sun, they appear to have regained their form. They are 16-4 straight up. They're second overall in the W, but only 9-11 against the spread. The Dream are on the second game of a 3-game road trip, and they play 4 of their next 5 on the road, counting this game, and that will lead them into the Olympic break, which is much needed for this Atlanta team as the injuries have piled up. They are without both Ryan Howard and Jordan Canada until at least then, after that Olympic break. The Sun are still without backup guard Mariah Jefferson, who underwent surgery on her right ankle in the end of June. Otherwise, they are healthy for this one. These two have met twice now this season, with the away team winning in each match so far. The Sun won by 19 in Atlanta in early June, but then they lost to the Dream in Connecticut last Friday by 4. The Sun were definitely struggling coming into that one as they had lost 2 of 3 and needed overtime for the 1 win heading into that game. But it was still surprising to see the Dream beat them and beat them in the manner that they did, and that's with perimeter shooting, 49% from the field and 43% from deep. The Sun give up the second fewest three-point makes, and they allow opponents to shoot at only 30% from deep. That's second in the WNBA, both of those. And the Dream aren't a good shooting team from the perimeter on the season, making the 4th fewest threes on the year. They do thrive in the mid-range. They lead the W in made field goals from that area, and they convert at the 4th highest percentage. But the Sun are allowing only the 2nd fewest makes from there. Now, the Dream are giving up the 3rd most makes from the restricted area, and the Sun are making the 3rd most per game. And then in their last 5 games, Atlanta is leading the W in turnovers per game while giving up the most points off turnovers. The Sun are tied with Minnesota for first in points scored off of opponents' turnovers. So I like Connecticut in this spot. I don't expect the Dream to shoot as well as they did against the Sun in the last meeting. And then the Sun are at home with the revenge factor in mind. So I'm going to lay the points with Connecticut here. And then for the total, it's hard to look at an over with the Sun defense looking to have refound its rhythm, and then the Dream offense struggling like it has. But over the last 5 games, the Dream have an offensive rating of only 95.6. That's second to last. But this number is so low, all right, 152.5. It actually opened up lower than that, so it's starting to move up some. So it's hard to look at that full game under in this one, but that's where I'm leaning. I'm almost waiting to see like how high can the public bet this number up, and then maybe I'll slide in there on an under. But yeah, this one right now, I'm going to hold off. That number's so low, guys. And then next up, we have the Dallas Wings taking on the Las Vegas Aces. Now, the Aces are 15-point favorites for this one with the over-under sitting at 176. Now, both teams come into this with equal rest. The Wings are fresh off of a win at home, while the Aces are coming in off of an upset loss on the road to the Sparks. The Aces are back on the road for 3 straight after this one, while this is the start of a 3-game road trip for the Dallas Wings. Dallas, their win over Atlanta came on the behalf of 29 Dream turnovers that resulted in 38 points for Dallas. Dallas was edged in rebounds and assists. They were outshot by Atlanta 55 to 44%, and they were outscored in the paint 56 to 38. The biggest difference in that game was turnovers, and that was their first win in how many tries? The Aces aren't going to give up the ball that often, so I'm not sure where or how Dallas catches a break in this game. Las Vegas is leading the league, giving up the fewest turnovers per game. So it's just a bad matchup in general, in my opinion, with the Wings down Sabali, Brown, and Seagrass to injury. The Aces appear to be at full strength for this one, but with the way the injury reports have been in the W lately, please be sure to double check for any new injury reportings before you put any bets in. As a matter of fact, just do that for all 4 of these games today, and probably for all the games for the rest of the season. With that said, the Aces should be ready to roll for this one, and I'm not going to let that slide in LA deter me here or fog my judgment, okay? The Aces were playing dominant basketball there before that loss, and they were in a spot that had a potential for a letdown. They had won 6 in a row, and especially considering they were on a back-to-back on the road with travel. Look, yeah, you have the potential for a letdown there. And for whatever reason, it seems like the Sparks kind of have the Aces number. I don't know. We'll have to see moving forward. But anyways, over their last 7, since the return of point guard Chelsea Gray, the Aces have a first-ranked offense. They are third-ranked defensively, and they have a top net rating in the W. The Wings in that same time frame are 9th offensively, but they are last defensively, and they have the worst net rating as well. So in their last 5, the Aces are making the most threes from the left corner, the second most from the right corner, and they're hitting the above break threes at the highest shooting percentage in the entire league. They're shooting at the highest percentage from the restricted area, from inside the paint outside of the restricted area, and from the mid-range. Dallas is allowing the most made field goals from the restricted areas, and teams are shooting at the second highest percentage on them from inside the paint outside of that restricted area. They have been middle of the pack defending the 3, and they are giving up the most makes from the mid-range in the W. So this spread is high, but I'm not getting caught up in any first quarter spread bets right now, as they bit me a couple times last week. If I do play this game, I'm not going to be scared of those 15 points with the team that has played like the best team in the W over the last 2.5 weeks. And they're a team that's playing a team that's looked like the worst team in that time span. I mean, really for much of the season, ever since the injuries started creeping in on Dallas. For the total for this one, that number is way too high for me to get behind any kind of an over situation with the Wings being involved in this game. While their defense is lackluster and the Aces have been hot offensively, they're averaging 91 points per game over their last 10. I can't trust the Wings offense to generate enough points against the Aces in Las Vegas for me to get behind an over, like I said. I might even take a look at the Wings team total under in this one. It's sitting at 80.5 right now. You can find that on some books. It's even dropped to 79.5 on some. But you can still catch it at 80.5. I think I saw that on Bet365 before I hopped on here. The Aces play fast-paced, but they were only giving up 76 points per game in the 5 games before that defeat to the Sparks on Saturday. So like I said, I think that I would look at the Wings team total under before I looked at anything else here as far as a total in this game. Next up, we have the Chicago Sky taking on the Seattle Storm. The Seattle is laying 9 with the over-under sitting at 165. We've got another grudge match on our hands with this one, as the Storm were just upset 2 days ago by the Sky in Seattle, 88-84. The Storm shot a miserable 3 of 19 from deep in that one. That's only 16%. And they were out-rebounded by Chicago 37-27, and then 14-8 on the offensive glass. Kennedy Carter had a huge game, 33 points. Man, she was just taking people off the dribble left and right. She looked nice in that one. And then Angel Reese had 27 and 10 for her 12th straight double-double. Joy Lloyd, on the other hand, not so good. Went 0 of 6 from deep, only 13 points. Seattle struggled offensively in this one. The Storm had won 4 straight before that defeat to Chicago, and the Sky have won 4 of their last 6. This is the 6th game of a 9-game homestand for Seattle, where the Storm are 8-2 straight up and 7-3 to the number. The Sky are on the last game of a 3-game road trip. Chicago matches up with Seattle, and some of their strengths play into the areas that I wouldn't necessarily call weaknesses for Seattle, but there are areas that Chicago can and did exploit in this last meeting that they just played. The Sky are scoring just under 53% of their points from the paint. That's first in the W, and also average a league best 42 points per game in the paint. Seattle gives up the second most such points. The Sky pulled down the most offensive rebounds in the W, and Seattle was just middle of the pack and holding opponents off the offensive glass. They struggled in a major way with this on Friday. Reese had 7 offensive boards just by herself. There was one possession at the beginning of that game, I remember, where Chicago got at the least, I'd say, 4 shot attempts off continuous offensive boards from Cardoso and Reese. That combo, they're going to be special down the road too, guys. Man, watching that game, just watching Chicago throughout this year, whenever both of them have been on the court together, man, it's special. It's gonna be really nice. With all that considered, though, and what we saw Friday, Chicago's the play, right? Well, I'm not sure I can get there personally. I just don't expect Seattle to shoot so poorly again at home on top of it. They have the size and the rebounding prowess to contend with Chicago in that department, and they should come in extra motivated, in that department after getting just straight embarrassed at home on the glass and just in general as a whole in that game to this younger Chicago squad. So I'm going to lean Seattle here to get it done at home in a revenge spot. And then for the total, I'm inclined to lean under, as both teams don't necessarily play well from the outside, while both defend the perimeter exceptionally well. They did just hit the over in the last meeting. They landed at 172, but I expect a better defensive effort from Seattle on this revenge spot, and as specifically a better defensive scheme for Kennedy Carter, who, like I said, she took her defenders off the dribble for easy looks left and right on Friday. And our last game of the slate, we have the Phoenix Mercury taking on the Los Angeles Sparks. The Mercury are laying 3.5 with the over-under sitting at 167.5. The Mercury hold a 2-day rest advantage coming into this one, and they're on the road for the second straight game, while the Sparks are on the third game of a 4-game homestand. The Mercury had dropped 2 straight at home before beating the Wings in Dallas on Wednesday. The Sparks are coming in off of an upset win over the Aces, and that's their second upset of the Aces on the season now. They led for the majority of this game before Vegas came back to force overtime, but they ultimately were able to pull out that dub. These two have met 3 times on the year, all 3 in Phoenix, with LA winning the first game and Phoenix taking the last 2. They last played on the 28th, with the Mercury winning that one by 14. As far as injuries are concerned, it's all on the LA side from what I'm seeing. Lexi Brown is out currently battling with Crohn's disease. Cam Brink is obviously done for the season with that torn ACL. And then Azurá Stevens is back at practice. She's been doing full contact drills. It's been said that the intention is for her to come back before the Olympic break. So that would be within these next few games. So we'll have to keep an eye there to see if she's able to go for this one or not. And then over their last 5 games, these two, they have been above average offensively, but below average defensively. The Sparks are just 11th defensively, and then the Mercury are 9th, while LA is 4th in offense and 5th, or Phoenix is 5th. Keeping it to these previous 5 games, the Sparks are making the second most above the break threes and hitting them at the second highest shooting percentage, while the Mercury are giving up the 5th highest made looks from above the break. The Sparks are actually giving up the most makes here, however, but the Mercury are just middle of the pack in terms of makes and are hitting at the 3rd lowest rate in the W. So look, I want to fade LA, right? They're coming off that big win over the Aces, but the Mercury are just 3-6 on the road this year. They're 5-4 to the number. This line opened with Phoenix laying 7 and has already moved this much in favor of LA. So I feel like I might be in the minority, or maybe I'm not with the money moving with LA in this manner. But I do feel like I'm a little crazy, but I'm leaning the Sparks at home with the points in this one. Maybe I'm not. Like I said, the line is moving in that direction. So, it appears that other people are thinking that way as well. Um, but yeah, that's where I'm at on this one. And then for the total, I got to look towards the over with the struggles of both the defenses as of late, coupled with the above average play that we've seen from both of the offenses. And then on the year, both defenses are giving up an average of 85 points per game. And then over the last 5, that number is up to 91 for the Sparks. So yeah, I'm going to look towards the over in this game here. That's just about going to wrap it up here for another episode of Let 'Em Ride. But before we get out of here, let's recap what we went over in today's video so we can talk about which way that we are leaning currently. Right now, the top looks that I'm looking at are the Sun laying the 11, looking at the Aces laying 15. Then I'm looking at the Wings team total under 80.5. Then I got my eye on the Sparks plus 3.5 as well. These are just leans right now. I've not put any of these bets in yet currently, but when I do, and if I find anything else that I like before tip-off for any of these games, I will put that down in the pinned comment down below. That way you can check back in and you can see if you want to ride along with me. Or maybe you look at those picks and you're like, man, those are all just a bunch of duds. I'm not following that guy. I'm going to go ahead and do the contrary. Whatever you decide to do, please throw that down in the comments down below. I love to see what you guys have cooked up. Some of y'all got some bangers in there, man. And I really enjoy seeing where you guys are at, which way that you guys are leaning as well. It's fun, man. I hope that we can build a community in that comment section, and we can just go back and forth every day about these games. That's my end goal, ultimately. It sounds like a blast to me personally because I love talking sports. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video today, you like the content, please don't forget to smash that like button down there. And if you have not hit subscribe already, please do, that way that you don't miss out on any of the content that we are dropping daily. And hit share. Can't say words, guys. Good night. Hit share if you can, though, please. It's definitely helpful, and I definitely appreciate it. Now, that's going to wrap it up here for another episode of Let 'Em Ride. Thanks for bearing with me as I fumbled over my words there. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking it out. It's been a long video, much longer than we've done so far. And that's going to do it here, guys. Bet responsibly. Have a great night. Man, I hope we bounce back. Let's get some wins under our belt today. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, y'all.